and thank you for coming today. I want to give you a little bit of history of what we do here. My name is Rodney. I'm with the Horry County Solid Waste Authority. This is a recycling plant, a MRF, which is material recycling facility. What we do here is we take recyclables, basically processing them and getting them ready to send to market. What the individuals will be doing is manually pulling out material throughout the line and doing odd jobs in that aspect. The Horry County Solid Waste Authority takes recyclables from Horry County, which is about 150 ton a day, and we've got a contract with the city and county of Charleston. And we do another 150 ton a day from them. So total we do about 300 ton a day during the summertime, and it can drop back to about 250 ton a day of recycled material coming in on a daily basis. We run this facility 20 hours a day, which is 2 shifts. First shift starts at 4 a.m. and goes to 2:30 p.m. Second shift starts at 2:45 and runs to 1:15 a.m. During that period of time, we have a lunch break for 30 minutes that we try to handle for everybody else. So you'll be working a 10-hour shift, 4 days a week for helping us here at the Solid Waste Authority. The main thing I want to go over to you today is to kind of give you a little bit of background, a little bit of history, a little bit of everything that we do so you can get a good idea of what you'll be doing here. First thing I want to go over is our personal protective equipment, which is what I've got on today, is your safety vest, your goggles, your hard hats. These are called our PPEs. You must have these on at all times when you step into the warehouse or our facility. If you do not have those when you come in to work that day, we have some available for you either from your staffing agency or some that we will sell to you. You will sign for the items that you get, put your staffing company's name, and then we'll issue you a pair of gloves, a pair of goggles, or a helmet, whatever ones you need for you, and you will eventually be charged back to you from your staffing agency. All staffing agencies supply us with manpower here. I need 30 people per shift at least to run the facility in adequate means. So they're looking at about 60 people to 65 people total that we run. The other thing that we need to worry about, PPEs, is the safety vests that you've got to have on. They all have to be ANSI approved. The hard hat has to be ANSI approved. They have to be zipped up or Velcroed at all times. They have to be on your outermost garment. Summertime, it'll be outside of it. It's not too bad, but wintertime comes and you have heavy coats on, it has to be over your heavy coat or it does not work. We also offer at the same time, mask is available. Proper way to put them on, of course, you've got a metal piece on the top that covers and braces around your nose, and the strap will go around your head. We offer these on a case-by-case basis. Whoever wants one, we have them at the main office, and earplugs. Those are something we offer just in case you need them, because our facility can get dusty at times. The main thing you got to worry about on this after that is fatigue factor. You're on your feet for 10 hours a day. So you need to be prepared to dress appropriately for that. What we do not allow is we do not allow short pants, short shorts, cut-off jeans, tank tops, muscle shirts, halter tops, anything of that nature. You have to wear shoes that are closed-toed. It can be, we request you try to wear some leather comfortable shoes, but you can't have any open-faced toes or open heels or slides, anything of that nature. You're walking on the floor. If you come with any of those, we won't let you work that day. The other thing you need to be to is just wear working clothes that you don't mind getting a little dusty. It's not a dirty job, it can be a dusty job. Other than that, your normal work attire will be appropriate. Clock in procedure. Come in the first day, you will not know who the supervisor is. He'll be the person that did, when you come in, is taking the roll, checking to make sure who all's here. What he'll do is, this new person that comes in, you need to tell him your name, what staffing agency you're with, and then he'll sit you down, give you a time card, and we'll go from there. The main thing I need to stress about time cards is, I have 6 agencies supplying us with manpower. There's a bunch of them with similar names, so you need to know what staffing agency you work for so you can tell us and write it on your time card, and then you're responsible for your time. Other words, if you want to get paid, you need to make sure that time card is correct. So if you don't clock in or don't clock out, it causes us problems at the end of the week when we're sending those cards to your staffing agencies to get you paid. Remember, you work for your staffing agency, not the Solid Waste Authority. We hire the staffing agency to supply us with the employees. So you need to have direct all questions to them about it, any of your time or anything of that nature, and then we will answer their questions. Any questions on that, again, go to your staffing agency. The time cards, I'm going to stress a little bit more since we have a problem. Just say you start to work here and for some reason you don't like it here and you decide you need to leave. That's fine. Clock out when you go. You should clock 2 times a day. You clock in when you start work, you clock out when you leave for the day. That's the only times you need to worry about clocking. If you have a problem with the clock-in procedure, you need to take your time card to the front office and talk to one of the ladies or myself there. We will try to help you with that. If not, again, at the end of the week when we send the time cards out, if it's clocked inappropriately, you won't get paid correctly for that day. So if you want to get paid correctly, I would promise you need to get the time card correct. The other thing we've got is phones. I know everybody has a phone. I have a phone. Everybody will have them on them. We kind of what we call ban the phones, but I know you'll get a call or a text during the day. You got 2 situations you have to do. If you get a phone call or a text, you're either going to handle it or you're going to not mess with the phone. What I suggest is you back away from the line wherever you're at, answer the phone, answer the text, handle it. Either you're going to need to leave or you're going to deal with the situation right then and then put it up and you shouldn't have any problem. Excessive use or having your phone out will cause you to be removed from the facility. We'll just ask you to leave. There's no question asked. So understand, phones are not allowed to be out other than that. Got any questions on the phone, again, when you ask one of your supervisors when you get here. Breaks, bathroom breaks, any kind of break. We do not have breaks per se. We have a lunch break. So what we do for lunch break is we automatically deduct 30 minutes for you for lunch so nobody has to bottleneck down at the time card or the time clock and have to clock in and out every time. So we'll stop, you go to lunch, you come back at the regular time, and then at the end of the day, we just deduct the 30 minutes off of everybody's time cards. During the day, every shift you might be working on, bathroom break. You can go to what we try to say, there's a break. Whenever the line goes down, we suggest to people think about what they're doing. If they need to go to the restroom, one at a time in the area that you're at, you can go to the bathroom. Leaving the line for any other reason. If you leave the line, you need to contact your supervisor or somebody with a radio to let them know you're leaving the line. Excessive or any time that you leave the line and then don't tell anyone can cause a lot of problems. The one problem I'm seeing what's happening is people leave the line and decide to go to their car. Once you leave the building, we consider you've left for the day. So again, you need to talk to your supervisor ahead of time and make sure everybody understands what's going on. Days off. We do not basically give you a day off for 4 days a week. If you need to have any day off, let us know ahead of time. We will get you that day off, not a problem, but you will not be allowed to work the day that you're scheduled off. So if you're off, you go ahead and take that day off, but if you need to be off to take your mom to a hospital, you need to go see a child into school, whatever the case may be, you're just off that day, so you'll work 3 days that week. No questions about that. Again, that's a definite problem we have with keeping people here who have to constantly be off 1 day out of the week. Again, I need people who work 4 days a week, not 3. So if you can't work the 4 days, we probably won't need you after you start doing that. Again, you'll hear me talk about things if it's habitual. If you're habitually late, you're habitually leaving the line, habitual going to the bathroom, we will ask your staffing company to move you and replace you. If you got any questions on that ahead of time, again, communication is key. You need to talk to your supervisor. If it becomes habitual, we'll have a discussion with you and your staffing agency to try to take care of it. Riding together. A lot of you understand transportation issue, problem. Some of your agencies will provide you with transportation, whether it's a van or vehicles to get here. If you ride separately and you ride with someone, understand, whoever's driving the vehicle, if that person's sick, how will you get to work? Or if that person's sick at work, how will you get home? Because 9 times out of 10, whenever he's sick, you're not going to make it. That happens, you're habitually not at work or habitually leaving, we need to get somebody else to replace you. Understand that ahead of time. Cleanup, what we do at the end of each shift, about an hour or so before the shift ends, we've got what we call as cleanup. What you're doing is you're cleaning up for the next shift to come on board. So everybody gets down off the line to clean up the area where they're working at, go down, and then all of them are getting on the floor and they're sweeping, they're shoveling up all the paper or material that's on the floor and getting it ready. If that's something you cannot do, or you have a problem doing that, or you're standing around doing something, we'll ask to replace you. Best thing to do is to try to get the job done and get it over with as quick as possible. We don't need people conjugating together and hanging out and doing things where nobody can see them. One of the biggest things you need to understand, there are cameras throughout the facility. I have a camera that looks at every position, maintenance issues, but also watches what's being done as far as the line. In a minute you will see some of the ideas of the line and how we run the line. We'll give you some video of that so you can understand a little bit before you start. But if to clean up, if you cannot do that and that's something that's not what you're entitled to do, you need not even apply and try to come here on that. Again, it's a thing that causes a lot of problems. Give you some horror stories. People try to go and leave during this period of time and try to hide. Second shift, we have a lot of problems because there's not as many SWA employees here to oversee everything. People will say, I got to go to the restroom. They go to the restroom, go walk outside, go get in their car and stay for 30, 45 minutes and then come back in and say they've been working. You will immediately be gone if that happens and we catch it. Again, I've got cameras in the parking lots, cameras everywhere. We are a tobacco-free workplace. What that means is we do not allow smoking, dipping, chewing, vaping of legal or illegal items. We have a smoking area that is out front of our property with a picnic table and is either before work, during lunch, or after work. You don't get breaks to go to smoke. So if you've got a problem with smoking, you probably don't need to be here. You will run counter sometimes when you go to the restroom that somebody might have smoked in the bathroom or might be smoking in the bathroom while you're there. What I suggest to you to do, don't ask you to tell on them, is for you to leave the scene and not be associated around that person, because what I'll do is, if I get word of it, I'll look at the video camera that's going right down the hallway by the bathrooms, and then I'll look and see where, run the cameras back and see who was in there and when it took place, and then I'm going to start watching that person who I thought might be it, and if it continues with the same person every time, we'll just send your agency a list telling them we do not need this person here anymore. Smoking is a big issue with us. We have a lot of flammable product. All the plastics is petroleum, paper and fiber. It can burn up. Our facility about 15 years ago did burn up, burnt to the ground. So we take smoking and fires pretty seriously. Again, that seems to be a problem, you don't need to be here probably. Altercations. At a time during the line, you might get beside somebody who's working you don't work like the way they work, or they don't like the way you work, or whatever. What I try to tell people is to worry about yourself. Don't worry about the person on your right, the person on your left, or the person in front of you. At a time, you can go to the supervisor and say, look, I don't need to be working around this person. We got a problem. That's fine, we'll try to move you. We'll do it one time, because if it happens in another place, it might not be the people around you, it might be you. So we try to handle that. But if something happens and you want to have some kind of issue with the person, my suggestion is don't. We've had altercations in the past. What we normally do is, if it happens, we call the county police on 911. They know where we're at. We'll ask you to leave the property and never come back. When we say the property, everything surrounding this property is owned by the Solid Waste Authority, so we'll ask you to leave and go to the Highway 90 and get off our property. We're not going to send you to your car and let you sit in the car the rest of the day or the night. We'll ask you to leave the property. If you can't do that, we will call the police. Any problems whatsoever, that's the best way to handle it. My suggestion is not to get into an altercation with somebody. Talk to us first. Maybe you don't need to be here, or somebody else needs to be left so we can take care of the situation. Any questions on that, always communicate with your supervisor. The last thing probably we'll go over is we'll show you some of the line and how we'll work on the line and what you'll be doing during your time here. It is again, a tiresome process, but once you get used to it, it's not that bad. What I try to tell people, 9 times out of 10, if you'll do your job, nothing will be any problem. If you don't like it, let us know and we'll try to get the staffing agency to replace you. Again, I don't want to run an adult daycare. What I need is people who will work, and we will pay your staffing agency, compensate you to come work here. If that's not something you're interested in, again, I'll stress, you might not need to be here. So if you got any questions at any time, ask and we'll try to handle those questions. At this time, we're going to go out to the plant and I'm going to video some of the workstations, show you what you're actually doing, seeing what actually goes on the line, so you'll get a kind of an understanding of that before you get here the first day to make a decision if this is something you want to do. Give you a little idea, if you have a motion sickness problem, it's something you might not want to do because a line is going by pretty fast coming by you. We've had a lot of people who get sick from that and cannot handle the situation, so this sort of give you a good example of what's going on. First room we'll go to is the pre-sort room. Usually there's anywhere from 3 to 4 people work in this room. What you're doing in this room is mainly you're picking out anything that's illegal, what we do not want to be on the line. Metals, plastic bags are a nuisance. You'll be pulling those out all throughout the line, but this place is the main one where we try to pull anything that's big. You pull out garden hoses, shrink wrap, pull out electrical cords, fishing nets, any kind of big items that can damage our line. That's what you're doing in this room. 4 people, we have the opportunity to stop so we can pull out the main items, but if not, some of the metal or other items can get in the line down a little bit further down that can damage our system and have just cause us to have unlimited stops that we do not need. This room is called the fiber room. What you're doing in this room, it can be anywhere from 7, 8 people to up to 18 to 19 people. It's according to what we're doing. What we're trying to get out of it, the newspaper is coming through, and what we're trying to do is at the end of the line is make the newspaper as clean as possible. The system is set up for a 3-dimensional state. That means a round plastic bottle is picked up at the curb. When it gets on a truck, they flatten it out, so when it gets to here, the machinery thinks it's a piece of paper. So you're pulling out the plastics, pieces of cardboard, any kind of boards, anything of that nature, plastic bags out so the newspaper can flow through the site. That's all you're doing on this system is manually picking it out. This room is called the container room. This is where the last of the recyclables is coming through, the plastic jugs. You're trying to separate anything that's coming through. The main item we recycle out of this, or the number 1 item, is your plastic soda bottles. That's the first place where they're pulling out the plastic bottles. The next one is your milk jugs. They're physically pulling out the milk jugs, then the color plastic, and then any scrap plastic or items that we deem that we need to be pulling out. At the front of the line, automatically we're pulling out metal, and at the end of the line, we're automatically pulling out the aluminum. What they're also doing is at the same time, you'll see containers behind them or trash cans beside them everywhere. They're pulling out any items we do not want. The plastic bags that are still going through the line, any of the newspaper that made it through, any of the cardboard that made it through. They're manually just pulling those out all throughout the night, or during your shift. This, if you're on the floor picking bales, what we're having you to do is walk around the bales and you're inspecting the bales and pulling out any contamination that could be in the bales. Mainly the contamination is anything that's not that product. So if you're doing cardboard, you're pulling out or trying to get any plastic bottles, plastic bags, newspaper, anything out of that. You could be doing that for the whole shift, just walking around and inspecting the bales with whoever our operator is right there at the site with you, but you're mainly going by each bale as we put them down and picking the bales. This is what we call the XL baler line. What you're doing on this line is we're normally putting newspaper that was so contaminated we couldn't get it all clean. We're putting it back on this line, and the newspaper is coming to you. Again, you're pulling out any plastics, any fiber, anything that could mess up the bale other than newspaper. That is a tour of the plant. Now you can see an idea of what you'll be doing each day that you work here. It can be any number of items, from picking bales to working in the container room, working in the fiber room, working in the pre-sort, working outside. If the line ever goes down, we'll have everybody outside picking up paper and cleaning up. So this ought to give you a good example before you get onto the property what entitles a day's work here. Hope you enjoyed the videos. Got any questions? Feel free to ask. Thank you.